You are now listening to the podcast for geeks and the stuff they love, where each week we'll talk about everything from anime to movies, games, and prop collecting with the people who create and love it. I'm Jeremy.
I'm India.
And I'm Martin.
And this is Your Geek Fix. So I know that the both of you are a bit of film buffs, I guess I could say, and specifically I have some B film kind of questions for you. You have not seen Doctor Strange yet. Is that right?
No.
Okay. But are you familiar with Sam Raimi films?
Yes.
So all the elements, do you know the basic elements to a Sam Raimi film?
No, I don't.
There's always at least two things that appear in every movie that he's done. Like name a Sam Raimi film that you can think of.
I would say Evil Dead 2 because it's the best one.
Evil Dead is and that's really what sets the criteria is the Evil Dead series, because there's two things that were in the Evil Dead series. The two main characters were, first off, Bruce Campbell, right? And then the blue car. And so in every single movie, including Wizard of Oz and Spider-Man and all those, he has had Bruce Campbell and the blue car stuck into every single film. And that includes Doctor Strange as well. But there's also an aesthetic, to those films. So like, and I'm trying not to give away too much, but he used a lot of the old techniques for like they do stop animation for all the creepy characters and stuff. So if you think of Evil Dead, what those characters look like, you'll see all of that in the new Doctor Strange movie. So when I went in there and I watched it, the first half I was like, this looks like every other Marvel show. I was wondering if he actually ended up directing it in the end. And then there's a switching point where it becomes a Sam Raimi movie, and for the rest of it, and the ending is definitely a Sam Raimi movie. So if you're into cult classics, I'd say the newest movie to go see would actually be the newest Doctor Strange. But but yeah, so there you go. There's my recommendation.
I'm down with that. Yeah, I was just taking a quick look at his IMDb.
Oh yeah.
I'd forgotten about Drag Me to Hell. That wasn't actually that long ago, but that film.
Oh yeah.
That was so much fun.
The ending to that is
when she's on. I think we watched it together, India, but it's the woman who works in a bank an older lady who's a bit kind of creepy and unusual. Looks like she might be into some occult stuff. Asks for a loan and she's denied, and then so she curses her, and then there's a whole bit in a car park with an eyeball that's quite unpleasant. But the other one I've just been reminded of is Darkman. That I absolutely loved Darkman, which I think I would like to watch with you one day. Sam Raimi, I think, is like a comic. It's like almost like a precursor to how comic book movies ended up going. Like in the late, like it's much more seedy and like definitely moving away from the comic book TV shows of the 60s and 70s.
When was that made? Because that was a long time ago, wasn't it? 1990, was it? Yeah. Boy, that feels a really long time ago. But I guess that was. It was.
I was
22 years ago.
Yeah, and
Francis
McDormand was the love interest in that movie. And then Bruce Campbell's the third credit. Oh, that film! It's really fun. Wow. Yeah, maybe we'll watch it later.
When you associate some of the B movies, what type of B movies are you talking? What are some of your favorites?
Ooh. Oh, that's a good question. Favorites.
Oh, I feel like there is something that we've both like.
Oh, we watched recently House.
Oh.
I don't know if that counts as a B movie, but
House, I think is how they say it in Japanese.
But really?
I
don't know that one.
It's weird. Like I would say, like it's super surreal and very campy and very like it does have a lot of elements. I could say it was a B movie.
It reminded me of sort of like Fellini or something.
But it's also got lots of badly composited floating heads.
It's like a Fellini slumber party.
It's really
1977. Yeah.
It's really I think one of the things it did is it sort of set the tone for a lot of Japanese movies for the next like 30 years. Like it has a very kind of surreal, like unsettling quality to it, but it also is like really silly as well. Like it's a lot of fun, but it's also like pretty messed up. Like you probably wouldn't be able to get away with it now. Like it's that sort of strangeness to it.
I think it's the hard thing about like Netflix is kind of going down fast. Is that at the same time, like it's it what you see on there is based on what else you've watched, but like I like a lot of Korean movies and things like that, and the ability to access those or to get introduced in some new things has been the fact that they're still around. So I'm kind of hoping that part doesn't go away because I don't know how else to access some of this stuff.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we were even trying to access Police Story 3 yesterday.
Oh, really? Police Story 3? That's
we
funny.
couldn't find it anywhere.
It doesn't exist. Well, we hadn't seen any of them, and then the Police Story 1 and 2 are on Criterion, so we were like, okay, we'll watch these. And the first one's really, really fun. Obviously, the second one's not as good, but a lot of people were telling us that the third one is like the real kind of like the best one of the lot.
Yeah.
So
that's the classic one. Well, and Criterion. Speaking of which, I mean, if you want to access stuff, that is a great way to be able to do
I love
it.
Criterion.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, that started out as a grant-funded thing or something.
Oh, really?
As I remember. Yeah.
They invented the audio commentary because they had them on laser discs in the early 90s, maybe late 80s.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a film. I don't think it's fair to call it a B movie, but it definitely has got the kind of the energy and the goofiness of a lot of B movies. But it's a film called Tampopo that's on Criterion. That's a Japanese ramen western, and it's this amazing kind of, it's a bunch of vignettes that are sort of interchanged, and the first like 20 minutes of the film is this one story, and then the people are walking down by the seafront, and you think you're with them for the rest of the movie, and they walk past these businessmen, and the camera just changes direction and follows them, and then it's their story for the next 20 minutes. And
really?
It's like
so it's like a single. It appears like a single shot then too.
Yeah, that one does. Yeah, not the whole film, but it's a very, very bizarre movie. But what did we watch recently, India? What was the one? Toxic Avenger that we were watching.
The Toxic Avenger by Trauma Films.
Yes.
Any Trauma film is a cult classic.
Yeah, we've been watching those. We watched Nukem High.
Oh
Class of Nukem
that's
High,
also Trauma. Yeah.
Those definitely lean into the campiness, the ridiculousness of the.
There's always somebody that gets blown apart or
like completely melted, but they're fine. They're still functioning somehow. Actually, I was gonna say as well, we have it in our hallway now. Tammy or Tanny and the T-Rex, depending on.
Tammy and the T-Rex, yes, and it's got Paul Walker and
that used to be.
What's her name?
Tammy and the T-Rex. I can't think of Denise Richards. It's the story of Tammy and the T-Rex is that Paul Walker gets brutally beaten by a gang of thugs, and his brain.
They send him to the lions, don't they?
They send him to the lions. That's it.
Yeah, they chase him into the zoo.
And his brain gets implanted into an animatronic T-Rex, and then so him and Denise Richards are quite sweet on each other beforehand, and then so she ends up like falling back in love with this animatronic T-Rex, and it's I
remember this. I have seen this. Oh my gosh,
and amazing.
Yeah.
There are, there's actually new movies that I feel like almost fall into the criteria of B movie that are not, that are supposed to be like, I mean, new release movies. What's the new one called? Moonfall. Moonfall. Have you seen Moonfall?
Yes.
I think that meets a B movie almost criteria.
I was gonna say that, but I was like, does it count? Because
it totally does.
Yeah.
Before
it's so ridiculous.
Before we, it's your man Roland Emmerich there, Jeremy. You've got history. Because he did Independence Day, I think. Yeah. It's so stupid. It's such a stupid, like, for so many reasons. But it's like, I think it knows. It's not like. I hope
it knows.
I think it knows.
I don't know. But that's what makes it good. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like
very
everything about it. You got the acting stuff, the impossible aspects of it. The fact that it doesn't, like, there's so much stuff that doesn't resolve. There's so much dark space. It's like, why?
Why does that
Why?
even? Why did we even bring
Yeah.
that up? Like, who's
Yeah.
this
How did that
character?
happen?
I feel like they
disappeared?
filmed a bunch of stuff and they were like, oh, now we got to include that because we spent money on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
It feels like the kind of movie where they had like one drawing and they're like, yes,
Right.
and then we'll just put some stuff around it.
Oh, yeah.
The funny thing is that film isn't as good as the film that you've just reminded me of, and the film that
Which
maybe
is-
means
also has the same
problems.
thing where it's one drawing.
Yeah. So there's a film from not too long ago, I think maybe 4 or 5 years ago, starring Gerard Butler, called Geostorm, and
Oh, yes. Yeah,
it
I saw it
is
too.
absolutely atrocious, but it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's just this work of art of just nonsense and like really kind of like every line is delivered in the most serious, committed way, but absolutely nobody sounds like they mean anything they say.
Isn't that the one where they're building a structure around the Earth or something like that too?
Yeah, called the
satellites.
Dutch Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a drinking game.
there's a smart car that outruns lava. And what more could you want?
Oh, it's perfect. It's so beautiful. I think we got it on 3D actually. We got it in 3D, which
It was in 3D. They made it that way.
Yeah. It was
It
done
had a lot of
post, though,
good.
so
It
it's
had a
not
lot
pretty.
of good special effects, I guess.
Yes,
but,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you ever seen? This is also a higher. I mean, like a movie that should have been like a blockbuster. Not low budget, anything like that. Have you ever seen Die Another Day?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
That's
Sorry,
the James
cinema, I
Bond
think.
movie where
Yeah.
he like surfs on the wave
Right.
in the
Of course it
stuff
is.
like that.
Yeah.
Like the one that was
course it
so
is.
overboard, so over the top, where you're like, I don't think anything's gonna happen to him, and I kind of don't care anymore.
Halle Berry as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's, I will happily admit that I think some of those Fast and the Furious films are some of the most entertaining cinema that's ever existed. So
Yeah.
there's a place for that sort of nonsense like action, but I think the problem is with the James Bond stuff around that period. I mean, it'd always been quite campy until the Daniel Craig movies, but I think the problem is with that period is that they sort of didn't really have a direction, and they were just sort of like, well, we know we want some fun gadgets and we want some exciting scenes, but we don't want them to look like a real, like, we don't want them to look too cool. We want them to have that kind of old school feel to them, and they just end up feeling just silly, just so much goofiness to them. India's got a bit of James Bond trauma, haven't you? That you had to live through.
Did I?
Well, when they were doing the Skyfall.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I was like, I don't remember. Yeah. When I was at Framestore, they would often do the credits.
Oh.
So for Skyfall, they did it in a client suite right in front of my desk, and so for months I had the song playing. And you're meant to pretend that you can't hear the song,
Right.
Because we're not meant to know what they're doing in that room.
Yeah.
And obviously the song's not meant to come out until, and it was just all day, every day, hearing that song over and over again. And I think Adele came in at some point to look at it or whatever. And I was just like, it's just like in your head, you can't hum it. And you're like, okay. I accidentally hummed this in the
NDA.
supermarket. Yeah. Like,
And then the film comes out, and that song's everywhere for
Yeah,
months.
yeah.
And India's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I'm so sick of it already.
Oh yeah.
That was
funny.
I'd forgotten about that. I was thinking more about, was it Timothy Dalton one we watched where it's just like, it's almost like a Charlie Chaplin movie where he's like hitting people with like a model shark or something.
The funny thing about the Timothy Dalton ones is that's what I grew up on. That was when I was.
I mean, like we
that was
we
when I
watched
was
it. We maybe watched it, I don't know, a couple of years ago, and it was like watching a cartoon.
I think
Yeah.
it was License to Kill. I think it was a License to Kill, and it was just.
Oh yeah.
They're
And
like in a
there was.
bar or something, and they're like just
Yeah.
hitting each other with like the model fish from the wall or something.
Yeah, it was so stupid. It was like a.
I was waiting for like the
Mr.
zip
Bean.
missiles. Yeah, exactly. Like the tins of beans for the sound effects.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
fun.
pretty funny though. Oh man.
Yeah.
I got to meet Jaws. I lived
no
in
way.
the area where he was at one point in time. He was. The only things I know him from was the James Bond films, and then he was in Happy
Cannibal
Gilmore.
Was he in
That's-
Cannibal
And-
Run?
oh yeah,
as
he
well?
was in. He might have been. Yeah, he was. He
I
was
think he
in
was
it with Jackie Chan.
Jackie
wasn't he?
Chan,
Yeah. Yeah.
In
that's
like
right.
in like almost like a James Bond car. I think they had
Yeah.
like a white.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it
Lamborghini or
was the
something.
James Bond car actually.
Oh, was
one
it?
of them. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah, Jackie Chan hated that because he was supposed to be Japanese in it.
Oh no.
And yet they still called him, Jackie, like they did in most of his
Yeah.
movies. But yeah,
Yeah, I don't think I mean I've not seen those films since I was a kid, and I don't know if they would be.
those
I
are
don't know how they'd hold
classics
up.
too.
Yeah.
Always end the same. Don
Yeah.
DeLuise and stuff.
Don
Yeah.
DeLuise is amazing though. He's so much fun.
Yeah.
I think I need to see him in more movies. He's got that kind of way about him where you know that he probably knows people that will do you some serious harm if you messed with him, but he still
Yeah.
seems a lot of fun at the time.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think those movies in my mind back then probably would fall into that kind of cult classic thing. Yeah. Like you would rent it over and over again. The stuff that you'd go to a sleepover and watch, that kind of stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, I think there's interesting like those things where you have like an emotional attachment to them from a part of your life, and then you see them later and they're still good, and they're still like I hadn't watched War Games for a long time, and War Games
War Games, yeah.
phenomenal movie, and we were talking
It
about
still
it earlier, weren't we,
works.
India?
Yeah.
I thought. I mean, watching it recently, it seemed like it was still like fairly, except for the computer and the modem. Everything else seemed pretty.
Even that's within the realms of believability enough for it
Yeah.
to kind of make sense. But I think one of the things we were saying earlier, India, was that he's not like a heel. He's a nerd, but he's not like
He's still the
hee-hee.
protagonist.
Yeah, he's still got
Yeah.
some kind of coolness and some street smarts about him. He's not just like in the corner like tapping away at the computer.
The Ferris Bueller days.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
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 when people took him more. What's the movie he's been in more recently though? Or I guess it was a series, the zombie series that he was in, playing the principal. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Maybe I'll have to check it out. Basically, all adults have died and become zombies,
Oh.
with the exception of him for some reason, or at least that's what the kids think. That are all they're kind of, the kids have kind of taken over the world. And it turns out that no, he is partially zombie, and so he still eats people and things. And that one was pretty good too. I thought that was
That's
a
pretty
good
amazing.
show.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen UHF?
And I'm aware of it. That's Weird Al Yankovic, isn't it?
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
I think it might be on one of our streaming services. So
that's worth checking out. I would say for sure. It's
So
a
they've
lot of
done
vignettes. Yeah.
They've done a film of him, haven't they? There's a film of his like early career coming out soon with Harry Potter playing him. What's his name?
What?
Daniel Radcliffe.
Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and he's like ripped in the trailer. It's bizarre.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I think it comes out soon.
What?
That's a different type of nerd.
That's
Talking of
funny.
TV shows, we did see Severance by Ben Stiller.
Yeah. How did you
Which-
like it?
Oh, it's
So
just
good.
incredible.
So,
Yeah.
Highly recommend.
I've not I did finish the other one that you guys are watching is Ozarks, right?
Oh yeah, I just finished that, yeah.
Did you? So what did you think of that? And again, we're not giving anything away, but at the same time, what did you think of the ending?
It's hard to not give anything away. I don't know.
You can kind of give it away.
I guess
Skip ahead a minute if you're really concerned.
I think overall, like, I only actually started watching the whole show since I got back from England in December. So I hadn't followed along all the years that everyone else had. But I thought it was worth watching all of it to get to the end of part 1 of this new season. I thought that ending was like very like, I really want to watch more, like make more of this stuff.
Right.
And then the second part I was just like, it's okay.
Yeah. I thought the whole foreshadowing that they did at the very beginning of the season with them getting in the car accident, I thought that's how it was going to end. I thought that what was going to happen is everything was going to resolve. They'd be heading back to Chicago, and like everything's working out, and then the car accident, the end.
It was
Like-
it was a weird cop out. It's kind of like
Yeah.
waking, like, you find out the film is all a dream and
Right,
it wasn't
right.
or something, and you're like, what? Yeah, it was a bit odd. It was kind of felt a bit rushed or something.
Yeah.
The more I engage with these long form TV series, the more I realize how it must be an absolute nightmare wrapping them up, because it's so rare that you'll finish one and you'll be like, yeah, that felt good.
I read a lot of articles afterwards, and it like older ones where they're like, we're sort of aiming for 4 or 5 seasons, and I wonder if they'd already written thinking there was going to be 5. And then it was 4. Like, that's what it felt like.
That's the hard thing is every I think a lot of these are even filming alternatives because you don't know until the end whether or not you're going to have
keep going
a follow-up. Like, you don't want to do too much of a cliffhanger because people really don't like that.
That's the great thing about Severance is that it could quite easily just be its own standalone. It's only 9 episodes for season 1. And it could quite easily just be that, like, you wouldn't need season 2, but it could also be season 2 as well. Like, it's really well constructed in that way.
It's so perfect. Like, I think the thing about it that was one of the things that was about it was so wonderful is that it does this kind of balancing act between these 2 very different perspectives that really could have stolen the show in their own right, but they all have they both work so perfectly together. And then once you get to the end of it and like the way that the story unfolds, it feels so satisfying to like come along on it. It was brilliant. I worry very specifically that the next season there's no way it can live up to expectations.
Mess up that.
It's just so good.
That's too bad. Do you, as far as anime, do you guys watch any anime?
Really, I think we generally tend to catch
dabble a bit more than.
Yeah, I think we've. I attempted to watch a few of the Gundam shows recently, but I didn't get too far. They seemed. I think I need to pick the right one, but
I have a recommendation. I mean, because you don't want to get into something that'll last forever, and that's just there is definitely a certain thing to some anime. If you get into anime, but I think there's a show that's called Odd Taxi.
Okay.
It's only 1 season. It ends. It's only so many episodes, and the first episode. If you get all the way through the first episode, you're gonna have a lot of. It's one of those shows that every single episode, the storyline is really good. And without giving anything away, there are animals that are inside the world and that live like humans, but there's something behind that too. And so it's like every single episode is a reveal that changes everything that you suspected from the previous episode. So, and they're making a movie of this, and it's going to have it's going to be live action. But at the same time, I think it's worth, the storyline is worth seeing. There's some that are out there that are like that, but
it's crazy to me that there are so many like cooking animes and sports animes and.
I used to watch a lot at university, but for the life of me, like I always like, what was it called? I can't remember any of them, but I did like Full Metal Alchemist. At university. But
that was one that went on for a long time.
Yeah. I think I just started on someone at university gave me a CD of like season 3. I don't know which season was it, and I just watched it from there. But
we watched One Punch Man for a bit a few years ago. And that's amazing. That's
a good one.
I mean, I think the fact that we at least watched the first season, but the fact that you can build so much of a coherent and engaging story around the fact that the guy is basically invincible and can immediately kill everybody with one punch is so impressive.
Do you know the story behind even the person that developed that, or how that even got made?
No.
Basically, this is a guy that couldn't draw very well, and then did enough to be able to get a little bit of a manga going, and then people liked it enough. The fans of his stuff were all animators and things like that. Every episode, the reason why you see the style change so much is because it's a collaboration. So it was a bunch of people that were into the series, and that first season is pretty much they all did that for free.
Wow.
So it kind of makes it cooler, I think, in some ways. But it's underground stuff.
It's interesting how much like you would think like having some hard limitations on a story would make it more complicated, but it actually makes things so much easier. because well, I think one of the hardest things is just a blank canvas. Like, you can do anything you want, and you're like, well, what's that mean? Like, what is anything? Like, there's so many anythings.
Yeah.
Starting with some kernel of some rules, it does help, definitely.
Yeah. If I think too, things that are contained. I like shows that are contained sometimes too. Like I can watch one episode or join in one episode, and that's good enough. You don't have to know much about it and stuff like that. But
you don't have to sit through nine seasons or however long Game of Thrones was. Just be disappointed at the end anyway.
That's right. Yeah. So what are you gonna watch tonight then? You guys have a plan then?
I think the Dark Man might be a good option, but Odd Taxi does also sound like
that was a good one.
We were trying to finish. What were we watching yesterday?
Oh, we were watching the Raid 2.
Oh yeah, Raid 2.
Oh, Raid 2. Yeah. Wow.
It's a long one.
Yeah.
It's like your story's fine, but just get to the bit where you punch each other. That's what we're doing.
That's pretty good. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you both for coming on and helping me out this month and hanging out with us. I'd love to do it again sometime. Fun. Yeah. We'll make sure that everyone checks out your stuff and kind of keep us updated too as you guys do some new things and get all established up there and become Canadians officially.
Yeah.
Look forward to my first paperback in stores sometime around 2026.
Do you have a title?
No. I'm just sort of I mean, it's more of like an exercise in learning how to write. So,
okay.
but I know what it's about, and it's going to be dark and creepy and unsettling.
Okay. So a future B movie starring Bruce Campbell.
Yes. Oh, that'd be amazing.
Cool.
And a blue car.
I got to hang out with him for 2 days here in my little
Awesome.
town, which I thought was so weird. I was kind of depressed that whole week. And tired of being. I mean, literally, we are in the middle of nowhere. I swear, our town's got to be smaller than yours, India. It's really. But anyway, and I was teaching at the college here, and I'm walking along, and I see this poster that says he's coming to speak at the college, which is so bizarre. And so and he's somebody that I really like a lot. So I called him up and I said, "Is there any way I can like be involved in this? Is there any way that I can like hang out with them or something?" And so we got to spend. So I spent 2 days with him, ate dinner with him and things, got a bunch of stuff signed by him and things like that, and asked questions and stuff. So I've heard all of his stories more than once, but yeah.
I think there's a valuable lesson there about if you see an opportunity, taking it.
Yeah. Always make the call.
Yeah. They can only say no, right?
That's right. If you've enjoyed this podcast and want more, stay tuned for that. But also check out our channel. Join the community on YouTube that goes by the same name, Your Geek Fix. Also check out India, or check out at least Cat and Moth, and then also India. What's your handle over at?
It's Indie Pops, so it's INDI_POPS.
And then you can also use that as a way to write something to Martin if you want. We'd also love for you to be part of this podcast as well. So please send your questions and stories to yourgeekfix@gmail.com. And in the meantime, this has been Your Geek Fix.